everyone, it's Justine and I'm guest designing here for My Favorite Things, and I'm going to show you how to get the most out of the Written in the Stars stamp by My Favorite Things. I'm going to be creating 5 cards in less than 10 minutes here on this video tutorial to show you some quick and easy techniques to make 5 very different cards. I'm going to start off by stamping the Stars stamp in Versamark ink onto a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 paper. I'm also going to be stamping the Reach for the with Versamark ink as well. And I didn't stamp them at the same time because I wanted to stamp the Reach for the as close as possible to the Stars sentiment. I'm going to cover these in some super fine silver embossing powder by Ranger, and I am going to be heat embossing that until it's all melted and you can see the shine reflecting off my lamp. So I apologize that it's quite shiny and you can't see the sentiment right now, but once I start blending, it's going to be no problem. As you can see, I used the lines on my grid mat to lay down some post-it tape because I'm going to be masking off an area in order to do some ink blending. I'm going to be using 2 different colors, Berrylicious and Grapesicle, and I'm going to be ink blending from the top and bottom and meeting up in the middle. My tips for ink blending are quite simple. Use a light hand, a circular motion, and start off and work your way into the paper rather than starting directly on it. It's going to help you avoid harsh lines. In the end, though, practice makes perfect. It does take patience and a lot of layering in order to get the perfect blend. My favorite part, though, is taking off the masking tape and seeing your final creation and this really great ink background. So once the background was all finished, I wanted to add a little bit of embellishment. So there is a die that doesn't come as a set with the stamp, but it's available separately, and it says the stars, and it comes with these 3 actual star shapes, and I cut the shapes here out of the background, and they look just kind of like a see-through window at the moment, but once I attach the card panel, it's gonna do great. I do A2 size cards, so they're 4 1/4 by 11, folded in half at 5 1/2 inches. I'm not going to show any of the card-based creations on the remainder of the cards in order to save time. So that's the end of card number 1. Moving on to card number 2, I'm going to be creating a galaxy background with some Distress Oxide inks. I'm using 4 different colors to do this, and it looks a little bit like a hot mess in the beginning. I used peeled paint, wilted violet, faded jeans, and then I went over the whole background with black soot. And as I said, it looks quite terrible in the beginning, however, it looks really great in the end. Just be sure to clean up your colors in between if they aren't colors that blend well together, so that you don't get the green mixed with the purple, etc., etc. Then I simply cover the whole background in black soot until I'm happy. And generally this will create that pop of color, and you can add some water to it in order to create a really cool effect. It is really important, though, that you dry your background here after adding the water before you die cut onto it, because if not, it's not going to create a very nice die cut. So I'm going to be taking this square die here, and I'm going to be cutting that, and I'm going to be using it actually as a rectangle, and it has these sort of slits on the side, and I love the way that that adds just a little extra embellishment. I die cut the word stars in using my Big Shot and white paper. So it now says star, and the coordinating die comes with star, it comes with stars, and as I said, it comes with actual star shapes. So it's a really great coordinating set for this stamp. I'm going to be doing the remainder of my die cutting off screen as well now. So for my 3rd card, I'm going to be laying down some color on my stamp, and I take a dry paper towel or a dry baby wipe, and I just smudge the edges so that I don't get harsh lines when I stamp this ombre effect. You can go in as well and restamp certain areas and ink them up again to get an even better look. Now all of the sentiments are really in lines, so what I can do is I can either cut them up with some scissors, but these are really close together, so what I do is add some post-it tape, ink it, remove the post-it tape, and stamp, and then I can stamp each individual word. Be sure to clean your stamp in between each of the stamps as well, because if not, you'll get some smudging. I apologize that my head's getting in the way here as I'm doing this. So now I have good friends are like stars, and I noticed I got a little ink from my inky fingers onto my background, so this sandpaper eraser is a really good tool to save your cards and save the day. Most of the time it works really well. And so once that is finished, I decided to die cut the background using this mod rectangle die. And I thought this was really cool, and it's just going to add a little extra something to the card once it's all finished. Now I attached that to my card panel here using some 3D foam tape, and then I'm going to attach it and get started on my embellishments. I'm using 3 different colors of Nuvo drops, orange soda, ruby slipper, and chocolate fondue to create the background of this with the Nuvo drops. For some reason, my chocolate fondue turned a little bit of a blue shade, so it worked really well. I let that sit overnight, and then I went ahead the next day and continued making this video and stamped the inside of the card. So it says, good friends are like stars, you don't always see them, but you always know that they're there. And it's such a pretty card. So for my 4th card, I'm going ahead and creating a night sky background this time instead of a galaxy background. I'm going to ink up the whole background using Salty Ocean and Faded Jeans, and then I'm going to go over top, just like I did with the galaxy card, with the black soot. However, this time I'm going to leave a significant portion of the middle still a very vibrant blue color. And you can go back in and add colors as necessary until you're satisfied. Once again, I sprayed it with water because it creates just such a cool reaction in that oxide look. Be sure to dry it before adding these die cuts, but I'm going to die cut as many shapes as possible from this background so none of it goes to waste, and some of them I'll use on cards in the future. So I added a little bit of interest by putting down a white circle stitched die cut, and then I'm going to go ahead and stamp the I Thank My Lucky, and then add the stars on the background. It just creates such a pretty, clean, and simple look in my opinion. And then I went ahead and added the stitched cloud to the bottom. Then I simply went ahead and die cut some of these stars once again from that panel, that galaxy panel or that night sky panel we just made, and added those as an embellishment. Super quick, easy, and simple. I created yet again another one of these night sky backgrounds, which I'm not going to show you a second time since I just did it on the last card. I'm going to be die cutting using the stitched hexagon as many times as possible on this panel. In the end, I believe I got 11 of these hexagons. I'm going to add some glue on the back of all of them, and then I'm going to piece them together like a mosaic on the front of my card. I'm going to add some of them, as you can see as well, slightly off center so that it looks like they are sort of falling off the card and makes a more natural appearance than then all of them fitting nicely on the frame. So I'm going to go ahead and add all 11 of those pieces, and you could add more as well or potentially experiment with different sizes also, except for it's a little bit difficult to line those up. Then I went ahead and I trimmed the 3 hexagons here that are off the edge. And now I have a perfect card panel. I went ahead and started piecing things together, so I stamped the Shine Like The onto a scrap piece of white paper, and I die cut this stars sentiment as well in white and black, and I layered them one on top of the other onto the front of the card. I found that the stars in white alone got lost in those white spaces between the hexagon, so adding this sentiment here in black first, and then adding the white on top but slightly off center really makes it pop. Then I went ahead and I added that little sentiment that I stamped earlier that said Shine Like The, and then I went ahead and did the embellishments. So in order to embellish this card, I had to attach it to the card panel first, and then I went ahead and used the Ivory Seashell Nuvo drops and randomly placed the Nuvo drops all over the hexagons to kind of look like stars. The more you think about it, the less random your stars are going to be, so just go ahead and go quickly and see what you can do. This was my favorite card out of the 5 of them. I hope you enjoyed this 5 cards 1 stamp video, and that you'll subscribe to the My Favorite Things channel or check out some more videos. Thanks so much for watching everyone, and I'll hope to see you again soon.